June 17th, 1958. Exactly 2:14 p.m. The 6 police officers walked into the brownstone on 138th Street like they owned the place. Badges out, guns drawn, faces hard with the kind of righteous authority that comes from knowing the law is on your side. Sergeant Michael Donnelly led the way. 22 years on the force. Decorated. Respected. The kind of cop who'd arrested over 200 criminals and never took a bribe. Never looked the other way. Never compromised. Until today. Behind him, officers Patrick Riley, Thomas O'Brien, James Murphy, Anthony Caruso, and a rookie named David Chun. All good cops. All clean records. All about to make a choice that would change their lives forever. The Numbers Bank was in the basement. Down a narrow staircase. Through a reinforced door. Into a room that looked more like a stockbroker's office than a criminal operation. 12 people sat at desks, processing slips. Writing numbers. Counting money. A well-oiled machine generating thousands of dollars a day in illegal gambling revenue. And sitting at a desk in the back corner, wearing a 3-piece suit and reading the daily news like he was waiting for a bus, was Bumpy Johnson. He looked up when the cops burst in. Didn't flinch. Didn't reach for a weapon. Just folded his newspaper carefully and set it aside. Gentlemen, right on time. Sergeant Donnelly raised his service revolver. Ellsworth Johnson, you're under arrest for operating an illegal gambling enterprise. Everyone in this room, hands where I can see them. The 12 workers froze. Hands up, terrified. Bumpy stood slowly. His movements were calm, deliberate, like he'd rehearsed this 1,000 times. Sergeant Donnelly, I've been expecting you. Not today specifically, but eventually. Sooner or later, every Numbers Bank gets raided. It's part of the business. Save it for the judge. I will. But first, I'd like to make you an offer. Donnelly's finger tightened on the trigger. I don't take bribes. I know. That's why I'm not offering you one. Bumpy reached into his jacket. 6 cops tensed. 6 safeties clicked off. Easy, Bumpy said, just pulling out a piece of paper. He withdrew a folded document. Set on the desk. Your mortgage. 47 Prospect Avenue in Queens. $8,700 remaining. 3 months behind on payments. Banks threatening foreclosure. Donnelly's face went white. Officer Riley. Medical bills for your daughter. Polio. $4,200. You've been working double shifts for 6 months trying to pay it off. Officer O'Brien. Gambling debts. $2,100 to a loan shark on Mulberry Street. He's threatened to break your legs if you don't pay by Friday. Officer Murphy. Your wife wants a divorce. She's hired a lawyer. You're about to lose your house and custody of your 2 kids. Officer Caruso. Your mother needs surgery. Heart valve replacement. $6,000. Medicare doesn't cover it. Officer Chun. You're sending money back to your family in Chinatown. $150 a month. But it's not enough. Your father's dying. Needs medicine you can't afford. Bumpy picked up the paper. Looked at each cop in turn. I know everything about you. Not because I'm psychic. Because knowledge is power. And in Harlem, I have all the power I need. He paused. So here's my offer. You can arrest me. Take me downtown. Book me. And tomorrow, I'll make bail and be back here running the same operation. Your cases will take 2 years to get to trial. The witnesses will disappear. The evidence will vanish. And you 6 will get commendations for a raid that accomplishes exactly nothing. Or you can work for me. Starting today. Starting now. And every problem I just listed gets solved by this time tomorrow. Sergeant Donnelly lowered his gun slightly. You're bribing us. I'm employing you. There's a difference. The hell there is. Bumpy smiled. Sad. Weary. Like he'd had this conversation 100 times before. Sergeant, you're a good cop. I respect that. But being a good cop doesn't pay your mortgage. Doesn't save your daughter. Doesn't fix the fact that the city pays you $4,200 a year to risk your life every single day while politicians make 10 times that sitting in offices. He gestured to the room. This Numbers Bank makes $60,000 a month. $60,000 helping Harlem folks dream about a better life. And you're here to shut it down because some politician in City Hall decided gambling is illegal. Unless it's the lottery they run, or the horse tracks they own, or the casinos their friends operate. The law is the law. The law is whatever rich white men say it is. And right now, those rich white men are paying you poverty wages to protect their interests while your families suffer. Bumpy walked to the door, stood in front of it, blocking the exit. I'm going to step outside for 3 hours. When I come back, you six will have made a decision. Arrest me and stay poor, or work for me and save your families. He opened the door. The choice is yours. But choose wisely, because in 3 hours, this offer expires. Bumpy Johnson walked out of his own number's bank, leaving 6 cops standing in a basement with their guns drawn and their consciences screaming. The clock on the wall read 2:27 p.m. 2:28 p.m. Sergeant Donnelly holstered his weapon, looked at his men, saw the same conflict he felt written on every face. Everyone out, he said to the 12 numbers workers. Now, they fled. Fast. Grateful. When the basement was empty except for the 6 cops, Donnelly sat down heavily in Bumpy's chair. Tell me someone else heard what I just heard. Officer Riley spoke first. His voice was shaky. He knows about Kathleen, about the medical bills. How the hell does he know about Kathleen? He knows everything, Murphy said quietly. Always has. It's how he survives. So what do we do? Chin asked. The rookie, 23 years old, still believed in justice. We arrest him, Donnelly said. When he comes back, we arrest him, we take him downtown, and we do our jobs. And then what? O'Brien's voice was bitter. I get my legs broken by a loan shark on Friday. You lose your house. Riley's daughter dies because he can't afford her medicine. We're cops. We don't take bribes. He said it's not a bribe. It's employment. It's the same damn thing. Silence. Caruso spoke. Older. Wiser. 31 years on the force. 6 months from retirement. I've been a cop since 1927. Seen every kind of criminal there is. Murderers. Rapists. Thieves. Men who'd kill you for a nickel. But Bumpy Johnson? He's different. How? Because he's not a criminal. He's a businessman who happens to operate outside the law. He pays his people, protects them, helps the community. Half the families in Harlem eat because of his numbers banks. The other half work for him. That doesn't make it right. No, but it doesn't make it wrong either. Caruso leaned forward. You know what the real crime is? The NYPD pays us $4,200 a year. Meanwhile, the commissioner makes $15,000. The mayor makes $40,000. And they want us to risk our lives protecting their system while our families starve. So we just give up, become corrupt. We become realistic. We take care of our families. Same as Bumpy takes care of his. Donnelly stood, paced. His mind was racing. Everything Bumpy said was true. The mortgage, the foreclosure notice, the fact that his wife was crying herself to sleep every night because they were about to lose everything. But he was a cop. 22 years. Clean record. Decorated. If he took this deal, he'd be everything he'd spent his career fighting against. Let's vote, Riley said suddenly. Secret ballot. We each write yes or no. Majority wins. No one knows who voted which way. This isn't a democracy, Donnelly snapped. I'm the sergeant. I make the call. Then make it. Because my daughter dies if I don't get that money. And I'm not letting her die for your principles. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Donnelly looked at his men, saw the desperation, the fear, the hope, saw himself reflected in their eyes. We need to search the place, he said quietly. See what we're dealing with. How much money? How many records? What kind of operation Bumpy's really running? It was a stalling tactic. They all knew it. But for the next 2 hours and 32 minutes, 6 cops searched a numbers bank, counted money, examined ledgers, and wrestled with the hardest decision any of them had ever faced. The money was in the back room, stacked in neat bundles, organized by denomination, counted and recorded in ledgers that were more detailed than most bank statements. $47,000 in cash, just sitting there, unguarded, unprotected. Officer Chin stared at it. 23 years old, made $350 a month as a rookie. This was 11 years of salary just sitting on a table. We could take it, O'Brien said quietly. Arrest Bumpy. Confiscate the money. Turn in half. Keep half. No one would know. Bumpy would know, Murphy said. and then we'd be dead. He's one man. He's the godfather of Harlem. You think he doesn't have people watching this place right now? You think he doesn't know exactly what we're doing? Donnelly found the ledgers. Opened one. Started reading. Every transaction was recorded. Names, amounts, dates, payments made, debts collected, wages paid, and at the bottom of every page, charitable donations. $500 to Mount Olivet Baptist Church, $300 to the Harlem Community Center, $200 to the Williams family, father died, left 3 kids, $150 to Sarah Henderson, medical bills for son's appendectomy. Page after page, hundreds of entries, thousands of dollars given away to families in need. He's running a charity, Donnelly whispered. No, Caruso corrected. He's running a business. But he's also taking care of people the city forgot about. Donnelly kept reading. Found payroll records. 47 employees, all making between $40 and $100 a week. Good wages. Fair wages. More than most legitimate businesses paid. Benefits. Doctor visits covered. Funeral expenses paid. Children's school supplies provided. It was more organized, more humane, more ethical than half the legal businesses in New York. And it was completely illegal. We can't do this, Donnelly said. But his voice lacked conviction. Riley sat down, put his head in his hands. Kathleen's 10 years old. The doctors say she's got maybe 6 months if she doesn't get treatment. The polio's spreading. Her lungs are failing. I wake up every morning wondering if today's the day I lose her. His voice cracked. I'm a good cop. I've never taken a dime. Never looked the other way. But if taking Bumpy's money means my daughter lives, then I'll take it. And I'll spend the rest of my life hating myself for it. You shouldn't have to choose, Chin said quietly. No cop should have to choose between their family and their integrity. But we do. Every single day. Because the city doesn't pay us enough to survive. And they expect us to be saints while they're sinners. Donnelly checked his watch. 4:41 p.m. Bumpy would be back in 46 minutes. We need to decide. Now. All of us. Together. He looked at each man. Saw their faces. Their pain. Their fear. Who votes yes? Show of hands. Slowly, one by one, 5 hands went up. Riley. O'Brien. Murphy. Caruso. Chun. Only Donnelly kept his hand down. It's unanimous, Riley said. We take the deal. It's not unanimous. I vote no. Then you're outvoted. Donnelly stood. Walked to the window. Looked out of Harlem. Children playing in the street. Mothers sitting on stoops. Men coming home from work. Life continuing, oblivious to the choice being made in this basement. If he said no, he'd be right. Morally. Legally. Ethically. But his family would lose everything. If he said yes, he'd be corrupt. Compromised. Everything he'd sworn not to be. But his family would survive. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. If we do this, he said slowly, we do it right. We protect Bumpy's operation. We warn him about raids. We keep him safe. But we don't become criminals. We don't hurt people. We don't cross that line. Agreed, Riley said. And the first time Bumpy asks us to do something we can't live with, we walk. Deal's off. No matter the consequences. Agreed. Donnelly turned back to his men. Then God help us. Because we just became everything we swore to fight. 5:27 p.m. Bumpy Johnson walked back into the numbers bank like he'd never left. Calm. Composed. Coffee in hand. 6 cops stood in the center of the room. Weapons holstered. Hands empty. Bumpy set down his coffee. Looked at Sergeant Donnelly. Well, we need guarantees, Donnelly said. His voice was steady. Controlled. Mortgage paid off by tomorrow. Medical bills cleared. Debts settled. All of it documented. Legal. Clean. Done. And we don't hurt anyone. We warn you about raids. We protect your operation. But we don't plant evidence. We don't assault suspects. We stay cops. I wouldn't have it any other way. Corrupt cops who enjoy the work are liabilities. Corrupt cops who hate themselves are assets. They're careful, cautious, controlled. Bumpy pulled 6 envelopes from his jacket. Thick, heavy, first month's retainer. $500 each. From now on, you'll receive $300 a month. Deposited into accounts I'll set up for you. Offshore. Untraceable. By the time you retire, You'll each have over $100,000 saved, more than your pension would ever pay. He handed out the envelopes. One by one. Donnelly, Riley, O'Brien, Murphy, Caruso, Chun. No one smiled. No one celebrated. They just took the money and felt the weight of what they'd become. How does this work? Riley asked. Simple. You go back to work. Do your jobs. Be good cops. But twice a month, you'll receive a call from a man named Nat. He'll give you information. Raid schedules. Surveillance operations. Warrant activity. You'll call in sick those days. Or you'll tip me off. Whichever makes more sense. And if we get caught, you won't. Because I've been doing this for 20 years. I've had cops on my payroll since 1940. None of them have ever been caught. None of them have ever been investigated. Because I'm careful, and I protect my people. Bumpy sat down. His voice softened. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you've betrayed everything you believe in. You're thinking you're criminals now. You're thinking you'll go to hell for this. He paused. But let me tell you what you really are. You're fathers, husbands, sons, men who were forced to choose between a system that doesn't care about you and families that need you. And you chose your families. That's not corruption. That's survival. Tell that to the judge if we get caught. O'Brien muttered. You won't get caught. Because from this moment on, you're under my protection. And in Harlem, that's better than any badge. Donnelly stood. His face was hard. Resolved. We'll do this. But we're not friends. We're not partners. We're employees. Nothing more. I understand. And the day this deal gets innocent people hurt, we're out. Consequences be damned. Fair enough. Bumpy walked to the door. Held it open. Gentlemen, welcome to the payroll. Now get out of here before someone sees you. The 6 cops left. Walked up the stairs. Into the Harlem afternoon. Into a life they'd never imagined living. Behind them, Bumpy Johnson sat down at his desk, picked up his newspaper, and went back to work. Just another Tuesday in Harlem. Just another raid that ended with handshakes instead of handcuffs. Over the next 10 years, those 6 cops became Bumpy Johnson's most valuable assets. Sergeant Donnelly warned Bumpy about 14 major raids. Saved the operation $200,000 in seized assets. His mortgage was paid off in 6 months. His family never knew where the money came from. Officer Riley's daughter got her treatment. Recovered fully. Lived to be 78. Riley worked for Bumpy until he retired in 1967. Never told his wife. Took the secret to his grave. Officer O'Brien paid off his gambling debts. Started betting on fixed games Bumpy controlled. Won consistently. Retired early. Opened a bar in Brooklyn. Died wealthy. Officer Murphy kept his house. Reconciled with his wife. Had 3 more kids. Became a captain in 1965. Used his position to protect Bumpy's operations across Manhattan. Retired with honors. Officer Caruso's mother got her surgery. Lived another 12 years. Caruso retired in 1959. Bumpy gave him $50,000 as a retirement gift. He bought a house in Florida. Never looked back. Officer Chun sent money home to his family until his father died in 1961. Then he used his salary from Bumpy to bring his entire family to America. 8 people, all living because one cop made one choice in a basement in Harlem. None of them ever got caught. None of them ever betrayed Bumpy. And none of them ever stopped hating themselves for what they'd become. 10 years later, Bumpy Johnson died of a heart attack at Wells Restaurant. July 7th, 2 a.m. Sergeant Donnelly, now retired, heard the news on the radio the next morning. Sat in his kitchen. Cried. Not because he liked Bumpy. Not because they were friends. But because for 10 years, Bumpy Johnson had been the only person who truly understood the choice Donnelly had made. The funeral was huge. Thousands of people. Politicians. Criminals. Regular folks from Harlem who'd benefited from Bumpy's generosity. 5 of the 6 cops attended. Not together. Separately. Anonymously. Standing in the back. Paying respects to a man who'd corrupted them and saved them in equal measure. Officer Chin didn't attend. He'd moved to California. Changed his name. Never spoke about his time in Harlem. But every year on July 7th, he lit a candle. For Bumpy. For the choice. For the man who'd save his family by destroying his integrity. After the funeral, Sergeant Donnelly went to Woodlawn Cemetery. Stood at Bumpy's grave. Alone. I don't know if you were a good man, he said quietly. "I don't know if what you did was right, but I know my family ate because of you. And I know I became a criminal to stay a father." He paused. "I hope you're at peace, because I never will be." He left a single white rose on the grave, walked away, never came back. The story of the 6 cops who raided Bumpy Johnson's Numbers Bank and walked out on his payroll became legend in the NYPD. Not publicly, never officially, but in locker rooms, in squad cars, in late-night conversations between cops who'd seen too much and earned too little, the story was told. Some versions said Bumpy bribed them. Others said he blackmailed them. A few claimed he threatened their families. But the cops who were there, the ones who made the choice, knew the truth. Bumpy Johnson didn't force them to do anything. He just gave them an option their department never did: take care of your families or uphold a system that doesn't care about you. And when forced to choose, they chose the only thing that mattered: survival. The Numbers Bank on 138th Street operated until 1972, for years after Bumpy died. Then it closed, quietly, without fanfare. The building was torn down in 1985, replaced by a community center that serves Harlem families to this day. And if you look closely at the plaque by the entrance, you'll see 6 names listed as donors: Donnelly, Riley, O'Brien, Murphy, Caruso, Chun. 6 cops who raided Bumpy Johnson's Numbers Bank and left 3 hours later as the most compromised, conflicted, and protected men in the NYPD. The system never changed. Cops still make poverty wages. Criminals still make fortunes. And somewhere in every major city, someone's making the same choice Sergeant Donnelly made in that basement in 1958. Choose your family or choose your principles. Survive or stay pure. Compromise or collapse. Bumpy Johnson understood something most people never learn. Morality is a luxury only the rich can afford. For everyone else, there's just survival. And survival doesn't care about right or wrong. It only cares about tomorrow. If this story made you think, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment below. Were the cops criminals or victims? Would you have made the same choice? Let me know. And remember, in Harlem, the line between law and lawlessness was just a paycheck away. And Bumpy Johnson knew exactly how much it cost to cross it.